At the end of Parashat Bereshit, the Torah ends with the following verse. And it says, Noach, and Noah, matzahen be'enei Adonai. Noah found favor in God's eyes. And the Zera Shimshon asks, if we look at who was saved in this flood, it was not one person, and it was not two, it was 8. Who was saved? It was Noah, his 3 children, and their wives, meaning Noah's wives, and his 3 daughter-in-laws, total of 8 people. So the Zera Shimshon is asking, why were they saved? Was it only because Noah found favor in God's eyes? They didn't find favor in God's eyes? In the beginning of this week's Torah portion, the Torah tells us that Noah came into the ark with his children Shem, Ham, and Yefet, but doesn't mention anything about finding favor in God's eyes. The Zera Shimshon is asking, did they find favor in God's eyes? Did they not? Was it only Noah? Was it everybody? If it was everybody, why wasn't it mentioned? So listen to what the Zera Shimshon answers. He says that in truth, Noah's sons were not tzaddikim. They were not righteous individuals. However, they were not as bad as the rest of the world. They did not deserve to die the way the rest of the world did. And furthermore, the Zera Shimshon says, they did have a little bit of merit. And that was because their father did put a lot of effort into raising them the proper way. They were not perfect, but they're not as bad as everyone else. So it was because of Noah finding favor in God's eyes as a righteous individual that his whole family was saved along. The Zera Shimshon adds one more thing. He says the truth is, Noah's children, even though they were married, were young. They were under the age of getting punished from God, which is the age of 21. So Noah's children were very young. So they were young. They were under the age of being getting a serious punishment from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, under the age of Karet. And the whole reason that they were saved along with Noah is because Noah found favor in God's eyes. So it was Noah who was righteous. Yes, was he righteous only in that generation? Or would have he also been righteous in Abraham's generation? As we know the 2 explanations. Nevertheless, Noah still had that power in him of his righteousness and finding favor in God's eyes to not only save himself, but to save his family. So Noah was the tzaddik, and he found favor in God's eyes and no one else. That's why the Torah doesn't mention it. And this is also a lesson to each and every one of us. As individuals, sometimes we find ourselves in a family and we find ourselves becoming a little more observant. We find ourselves clinging closer to Torah, to mitzvot. And we seem to feel like, what's this all about? Isn't life supposed to be all about family? Aren't we all supposed to be together? And the answer is yes. But the answer is you should also realize that when one individual in a family finds favor in God's eyes, there is a possibility that that person will be able to elevate everyone with them. And that is something very special. I see smiles around the room. We know certain individuals, whether it was ourselves or family members who have done such, or friends. When one individual sees that calling and decides to follow the righteous path, decides to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that individual finds favor in God's eyes, there is an element that even those who are not worthy, they're not so bad, they're not as bad as everyone else, but they're not involved and as much as you, they're not doing everything right, but they're not so bad, they're not on the other side like the rest of the world was in the time of Noah. Still, by you finding favor in God's eyes, it can be also a tremendous merit to lift those that are with you and be included in the great blessing and favor that you will be found in God's eyes. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless us to be part of great families, great communities, but to also give us the enlightenment and the excitement and the wisdom and the merit to be one who can step more and do more and closer in a greater way, in a more enthusiastic way towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we find favor in God's eyes, and those around us, our family and friends, can also be included in that favor given that tremendous blessing from HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Amen.